Welcome to the mini-module Foundations of Multi-Tiered Systems of Support, Student, Family, and Community Involvement in Behavior Support Planning. This mini-module is brought to you by Connecticut State Education Resource Center, or CERC, with funding from the Connecticut School Climate Transformation Grant. The U.S. Department of Education awarded Connecticut the grant in 2014, and CERC and the Connecticut State Department of Education subsequently undertook a statewide analysis of multi-tiered systems of support. This analysis attempted to identify strengths of implementation, as well as areas for improvement that could be targeted through improved training and technical assistance. This module will provide foundational information through which schools can improve implementation. In order to conduct the analysis of multi-tiered systems, the Connecticut State Department of Education selected the Tiered Fidelity Inventory as the instrument. The Tiered Fidelity Inventory, or TFI, was developed as part of the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Special Education Programs National Technical Assistance Center on Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports. The TFI measures how school personnel are applying the core features of school-wide positive behavioral interventions and supports. It is intended to provide a valid, reliable, and efficient measure over the 3 tiers of intervention. During the course of analysis, 175 facilitated sessions were held in schools across Connecticut, where school teams analyzed their process. Several common themes emerged from the aggregate data from items on the Tiered Fidelity Inventory. We would like to acknowledge that content and best practices were gleaned from the tool as well as resources from pbis.org and nepbis.org websites. We also want to acknowledge the Connecticut State Department of Education's publication, Full, Equal, and Equitable Partnerships with Families, Connecticut's Definition and Framework for Family Engagement, and the Teaching for Change article, Does Family Engagement Matter? The Truths and Half-Truths About Parent Involvement. The goal of this mini-module is to understand the importance of engaging the student, family, and community resources as appropriate to develop effective Tier 3 plans for intervention and support. Family engagement should not begin when a student has demonstrated a need for additional supports to be successful. Rather, Connecticut defines family engagement as a full, equal, and equitable partnership among families, educators, and community partners to promote children's learning and development from birth through college and career. As a team prepares a behavior support plan, they should be drawing on already established positive relationships and the partnership established to support the student. When considering the key features of achieving the full, equal, and equitable partnerships necessary to support student achievement, there are several guiding principles rooted in the research that can be employed to set the stage for success. The first is to build collaborative, trusting relationships focused on learning. By doing get-to-know-you activities to establish relationships or using a home visiting strategy, students, families, and staff members can establish a working relationship that centers on learning and positive student performance. Another principle is to listen to what families say about their children's interests and challenges. Consider thinking about the partnership as school personnel being experts on current content and instruction, and the student and family as the expert on students' needs. By paying attention to what is expressed, there may be different cultural perspectives, and teachers can use families' ideas to create programming, tailor instruction, and improve discipline practices. A third principle is sharing information frequently with families about how their children are doing. Establishing a high-quality feedback loop between the student, family, and staff can support improved performance. Information might include discussing a student's progress with references to specific skills achieved and progress towards those not yet achieved. This principle pairs nicely with ensuring that we consistently talk with students about how they want teachers and families to support their learning. This approach should be developmentally appropriate, but can be very powerful when a student can share what works well for them and what prevents their best work. It teaches both self-reflection and advocacy skills. By co-developing cultural competence, students, families, and staff members can have a common understanding that honors different traditions, and students and families can see themselves reflected in the school climate and curriculum. By valuing family input into the school environment, this supports parents in becoming effective leaders and advocates for children. Demonstrating sincere interest and translating the interest into changes in practice where appropriate signal to families that they have established the partnership that research says will improve overall outcomes. As educators, we weave the guiding principles into our work to ensure students reach the outcomes we hope. But, as they say, it takes a village. Mapp, Henderson, and Hill note that effective family engagement practice, that is, using practices that are intentional and well-designed, can support positive outcomes. We may see these successful outcomes in a number of indicators, including grades, test scores, behavior, passing rates, high school graduation, and college attendance. The working relationships between the family, school, and community all contribute to positive outcomes. Should an individualized student support plan become necessary, it should reflect common understandings across the three stakeholders. Working together, the family, school, and community help ensure access to the supports and resources necessary to enhance the plan. To that end, some students will need individualized plans that are designed to address at least one of the following needs: academic, emotional, and behavioral. These plans should be developed with the involvement of students, families, and community agencies as appropriate. This significant participation brings multiple perspectives that enrich the design of the plans and promote their sustainability and ultimately the ability to generalize the skills targeted. Student and family engagement, the key partnership, provides an invaluable lens to the student's strengths, interests, and challenges. When developing an effective student support plan, incorporating student voice helps maximize positive outcomes. Students should play a lead role in identifying their strengths and challenges, as well as their personal, academic, and career goals. These should be the foundation from which the plan can be constructed. Students can identify what motivates them to initiate work and to persevere in tasks. Students can share which staff members they have a positive relationship with and what the key features of those relationships are as a way to assist others in developing a positive relationship as well. Plans that are informed by the students' input are more likely to generate effective outcomes and promote positive identity development. With respect to family input into the development of a behavior support plan, the key is to build from an understanding of the family's perspectives on the student's strengths and challenges. Family input can be vital to identifying those strategies that motivate their student and those strategies that demotivate. Insight can be provided on the family's culture and context that further develops the educator's cultural competence. The family can describe how the student interacts with other members of the family, both immediate and extended. All of these points can serve as a great foundation to develop a plan that links carefully to the student's individual context and will serve to support the seamless integration of strategies across the settings. High-quality family engagement over time and before the need for such intense intervention may assist in refining the practices so that families are empowered to work with the educators involved in their child's programming as full and equal partners. Let's consider how we integrate family and student input into the selection of the actual intervention strategies. It is important to consider the family's input on what strategies can be replicated. What fits within the culture, customs, and family dynamics in the home? Selecting practices that can be replicated at home reinforces their use and can increase the pace of generalization. During the planning process, schools and families together can recognize the limitations of school-based interventions. If that is the case, the selection of external partners and strategies that fit well with the family's culture and structure can be made together. These community-based partners can support additional intervention outside the school day and be a key to success. Supporting the student and family in maintaining connections with community-based partners can be an ongoing feature of the student's plan. The connection between students, families, and the school to community partners can be an invaluable resource. Partnerships can be formed with local government agencies, centers, libraries, and recreation programs to provide structured outlets for students. Faith-based community resources, community mentoring programs, and medical and other clinical professionals can all serve to support the school in securing a high-quality plan. Students who require links to community-based partners to further support their individualized plans can work with school-based planning teams to find quality, cultural, and contextual fits. In order to prepare for these partnerships, school-based teams can consider these questions. Is there a district or school-level person responsible for connecting with external agencies? And does the school have a process for accessing external resources? The school-based team should also work closely with district staff to determine what formal requirements or agreements must be in place to partner with external agencies. Once the plan has been developed, including the targeted skills and selected strategies based on staff, student, family, and community agency input, the action plan for implementation is designed. The action plan includes important information about who is responsible for which implementation efforts. In addition, the plan outlines whether training on the plan is necessary. The last critical feature of the action plan is to determine how the group will assess the fidelity of implementation. That is to say, how and at what intervals will the team monitor that the plan is being implemented as designed. These are important features to share with families so that they can participate in prompting and ensure implementation occurs as an advocate for their student. Plan evaluation occurs at regularly scheduled intervals, and families and students should be active members of the evaluation process. Decisions regarding any adjustments to the plan should be directly influenced by the team analyzing the student's response to the strategy selected and the impact on the skills targeted. Decisions regarding changes to strategies or to fading or intensifying supports should be made by the team with the family and student involved. When active participation of the family or student is precluded, a team designee should communicate any suggested changes or, in the case of important safety concerns, decisions with the family using a positive and proactive approach. An example might be, in reviewing student K's behavior data, we had set a benchmark of a 10% decrease in the targeted behavior by this point in the plan implementation. We are excited to see that student K has demonstrated an 8% decrease in the targeted behavior, which is a great step toward our benchmark, but isn't quite meeting our timeline for the overall goal. We would like to suggest that intensifying the support will enable student K to meet the benchmarks at the rate we were hoping to see. What impacts, both positive and negative, might student K experience if we were to intensify supports? The designee can be empowered to incorporate family feedback or to reconvene the team once feedback has been collected before changes are made. Student, family, and community agency engagement is foundational to the success of behavior support plans, as was noted by one Connecticut parent in August 2017. If all families are valued, then they would most certainly stand beside, behind, and with the school or early learning center when they choose to make necessary improvements for all children. Thank you for participating in this mini-module and working to improve the quality of multi-tiered systems of support.